It is these processes that are to be found behind a whole series of affirmations that are quite alien to the penal theory of the 18th century. That crime is not a potentiality that interests or passions have inscribed in the hearts of all men, but that it is almost exclusively committed by a certain social class. The criminals who were once to be met with in every social class now emerged almost all from the bottom rank of the social order, that 9/10 of murderers, thieves and idlers come from what we have called the social base. That it is not the crime that alienates an individual from society, but that crime is itself due rather to the fact that one is in a society as an alien, that one belongs to that bastardized race, as Target called it, to that class degraded by misery, whose vices stand like an invincible obstacle to the generous intentions that wish to combat it. That, this being the case, it would be hypocritical or naive to believe that the law was made for all in the name of all, that it would be more prudent to recognize that it was made for the few and that it was brought to bear upon others. That, in principle, it applies to all citizens, but that it is addressed principally to the most numerous and least enlightened classes, that unlike political and civil laws, their application does not concern everybody equally, that in the courts society as a whole does not judge one of its members, but that a social category with an interest in order judges another that is dedicated to disorder. Visit the places where people are judged, imprisoned or executed. One thing will strike you everywhere. Everywhere you see two quite distinct classes of men, one of which always meets on the seats of the accusers and judges, the other on the benches of the accused, which is explained by the fact that the latter, for lack of resources and education, do not know how to remain within the limits of legal probity. So that the language of the law, which is supposed to be universal, is in this respect inadequate. It must, if it is to be effective, be the discourse of one class to another, which has neither the same ideas as it, nor even the same words. How are we, with our prudish, contemptuous languages, overloaded with formality, to make ourselves understood by those who have never heard anything but the crude, poor, irregular, but lively, frank, picturesque dialect of the market, the tavern and the fair? What language, what method should we use when drawing up laws that will act effectively on the uneducated minds of those less capable of resisting the temptations of crime? Law and justice do not hesitate to proclaim their necessary class dissymmetry.